My name is Sarah Johnson, and I am the Executive Director of the Cahoon Museum of American Art. The Cahoon Museum of American Art was founded in 1984 as a museum dedicated to American art. We have a collection of art beginning from the 1800s all the way through contemporary art. And our mission is educational. We collect, preserve, and interpret a wide range of American art. We thought that the Cahoon Museum was the perfect museum to host an exhibition on scrimshaw, which is a very unique, interesting, historical, and often overlooked art form. The idea for the exhibition began in our Collections and Exhibitions Committee. We had member Dr. Alan Granby, who suggested the idea of doing an exhibition on scrimshaw, and we thought it would be a great fit for the museum. So we spent a number of years researching, selecting objects, and focusing how we could share this unique art form with our visitors and with the public. The exhibition Scrimshaw, the Whalers' Art, contains an incredible and diverse variety of scrimshaw objects from many major museum collections and private collections across New England and the United States. Alan Granby, who's the guest curator of the exhibition, had long-standing relationships with collectors and museums in the field, so he really knew where some of the best objects were kept. We worked with 7 major museums and 15 private collectors to assemble one of the most spectacular assortments of scrimshaw objects that's really ever been put together. We've had so many visitors to this exhibition who came in and expected just to see a carved tooth and were blown away by the amazing variety and complexity and design of so many different types of scrimshaw objects. So in the exhibition, we have organized the objects by different categories, including utilitarian objects, tools, and also more decorative pieces. We have examples of the scrimshaw process, how the artisans would start with a raw whale tooth and polish its surface and develop their designs. We also have examples of the types of materials that they used in scrimshaw, including abalone, baleen, and other exotic woods that would be used as inlays or combined with the scrimshaw material. We have categories of objects including boxes, baskets, utensils for kitchen such as rolling pins, dippers, things that were used for sewing such as yarn swifts and bodkins, knitting needles. It is just an incredible representation of a diversity of scrimshaw objects in the show, even unusual objects such as a bird cage, or objects for children such as a doll's bed or a doll's cradle. We have an example of a wonderful sled with scrimshaw fists on the ends of it, and as well as some companion paintings and a hooked rug showing a scene of whaling as well. Well, that's hard to say. I mean, people have really picked out their own favorite objects in the exhibit. Many people are very intrigued by the form known as a crimper, a pie crimper, because of just the uniqueness of the design. Some of the design features include dogs with whale tails and objects that are metamorphosizing into different shapes. So the visitors have been really intrigued by those pieces. We've had a lot of attention on the scrimshaw boxes because of the intricacy and symmetricality of the inlay, and just the fact that the makers were creating these things for their loved ones back home. So objects that have the names of their recipients were very special to our visitors, because they could imagine the sailor creating something under not ideal conditions of such beauty, and knowing that it was going to a special person back home. One of the wonderful parts about the story of scrimshaw is that it's really an incredible part of American history. It's linked with the whaling trade, which was at one point one of the 5th largest contributors to the American economy. So the role of whaling was very important in the American history and in the development of the American economy. And it's just a very unique window of time during this age of sail, and there's so much history linked to many of the different port cities and areas from Cape Cod to Nantucket to New Bedford. It just encompasses so much more than just the art form, which makes it such a special story. So many of our visitors have just been had their minds boggled by the incredible intricacy and finesse of some of the scrimshaw engraving. A good example of that is the scrimshander Nathaniel Phinney, and we have some of his large walrus tusks on view that feature different important figures in American history and also actors and actresses of the day. His work is so finely detailed, it almost looks photographic on the tooth, and that's very surprising to people when they first see it, to imagine someone carving that with fine tools and in a condition of a whaling ship that might be moving. So it's amazing to see that level of finesse and intricate detail. We have a wonderful early example of scrimshaw by the artist Edward Burdett. It was carved between 1825 and 1828, and the piece is titled Japan Bound for USA. So there's a few examples of Burdett's scrimshaw out there, and he was an interesting scrimshander in that when these sailors went out to sea, there was really it was a very dangerous profession, and injury and death were likely on almost all of the voyages. The scrimshander Edward Burdett met an unfortunate fate when the line of the whaleboat, which was became coiled around his leg, and he was pulled overboard to his untimely end. So it cut his career short, but we're very fortunate to have this spectacular example of scrimshaw featuring his style. Yes, we have a wonderful case just dedicated to patriotic imagery on scrimshaw teeth, with some excellent examples of polychrome scrimshaw, which are highly unusual in that they feature so much color. And it really has been wonderful to see how these design elements reflected early American history and what the sailors were focusing on, including different types of American flags, the symbol of hope, shields, and other unique motifs that often make their way into other forms of American art, but that were really a focus for a lot of the scrimshaw artists in their artwork. The wall pocket features carved stars, and it really is a testament to the motif of the star. It also features a number of turned acorn finials, and it's a very symmetrical design, really graphically very impactful and gorgeous piece. We had record attendance for the Scrimshaw exhibition over the summer and the fall, with just a huge amount of interest in this topic. I would say that one of the most unique things about this exhibit is the participation from lenders, really, that we approached many different major museums and collectors, and what this offered to the public was a chance to see objects that had either been in storage and not on public view for some time, or were in private collections that people wouldn't have a chance to see otherwise. People were really intrigued by the subject matter of scrimshaw, and one thing that we noticed as well was that people were spending an extended length of time in the museum, sometimes as much as an hour and a half to 2 hours, just really taking in the details of the objects and reading all of the wall text. So it's been a wonderful educational opportunity for the world of scrimshaw, and at the Cahoon Museum, it's been our honor to present this art form to the public. This exhibit presented over 250 examples of scrimshaw that have not been on public view for decades, sometimes even longer. We pulled objects from special storage from major museums, from private collections that people don't have access to. So we really had an opportunity for people to see objects that they never would have a chance to see otherwise. Alan Granby certainly has a knowledge of some of the best and most interesting scrimshaw objects out there, but this exhibition presented some of the absolute best examples, most historically important, top quality in terms of condition and subject matter. So those who came to see the exhibit who are scrimshaw aficionados were really impressed by the number and quality of objects that they were seeing. In certain cases, we were able to unite objects by the same artist together that belonged in different collections, so that was a really special thing.